Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Jeffrey Breedwell Audiocast. That's right, it's the audiocast, not a podcast. It is an audiocast, just like an audio book, where I'm reading the stuff to you, but there's no, background, there's no music, there's no, there's none of that. There's nothing like, hey, this podcast has been brought to you by League of Legends. None of that. You know, there's none of the official sponsors. Now, if there want to be sponsors for some reason, that's cool. I'd be happy to take their money and give them advertisement on this, but it's not necessarily needed. Until right now, because I am letting you know that this particular audiocast has been brought to you by air. Air. The thing you breathe. Now coming in different flavors, such as seafoam, woods, and just blown out candle. Check out air wherever you buy imaginary things. This episode is episode 6. It is Vindicated. It tells the story of the long time coming, of what's been a long time coming. This is the first time in my personal history where I was proven right with something when it comes to my health. And it was because I didn't give up. And I'll illustrate that along the way. But this is part 1 of 2 for something that continues on for next week. So after this is done, make sure you stick around, hit that subscribe button, that follow button, rate the podcast wherever you're getting it. And we'll make sure we got plenty of time for you. And I'm going to get right into the story next week. It's going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy. But before I get into the blog today, I do want to let you know a little personal note that my upcoming book, Just Put the VHS in the Bag, Bro, now has a cover. Woo! The cover has been revealed. You can see it at jeffreybreedwell.com. That's Geoffrey. Breedwell, just like I would, breedwell.com. You can see it right there, as well as the release date of June 25th. That's right. You can now put the VHS in the bag for Just Put the VHS in the Bag, Bro, on June 25th. Stick around. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for the newsletters on the Substack on my website, because that's where you're going to get all of the first tidbits. In fact, the day before I released the cover to my newsletter. The people who were subscribed to me on Substack, they got it first before anyone else. So make sure that you are subscribed if you want to be that first one in there. You know, liking it before it was cool. So with that being said, you can also go to the jeffreybreedwell.com/blog to find this one for Vindicated. That's jeffreybreedwell.com/blog for Vindicated. And without any further ado, here we go. You're weird, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you're not weird. You're more, unique. Are you sure you belong to our family? You know, the milkman was a thing when you were born. I've heard every one of those statements from people close to me. I've heard more times than I can count on how strange I am, how off-putting I can be, or how whatever I said was just too off the wall for some people. And now, after 39 years at the time of writing, I finally have vindication as to why. Autism. Don't get me wrong. I've always known I was different. When I was in 6th grade, I often sat by myself at lunch. I was bullied in 7th grade, but I also wrote a book that was later destroyed by a girl's dad. That story could be its own blog later on if you want to hear it. Please comment if you want to hear it. In 4th grade, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Now, this was the mid-90s when ADHD's new solution was Ritalin, and it swept the country in a craze to help young boys get their behavior in line. They figured the best solution to ADHD was to give kids speed to slow them down. It worked for a moment, until it didn't. I still didn't act normal. I was still the weird kid. 2 decades, a few traumatic brain injuries, 2 degrees, and 1 mental breakdown later, a solution has finally been presented. The only reason why it took so long was a lack of understanding from the mental health professionals who authored the DSM Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It is the holy Bible of mental health. If your diagnosis isn't in there, it doesn't exist. According to Scott D. Miller from 2013, nearly all graduate programs teach it. Research is organized around its content, and insurance companies and payers, including the federal government, demand it for reimbursement. With the first edition coming in 1952, based largely on the classification from VA symptoms and previously collected diagnosis going back to 1840, the DSM is the de facto standard of every mental health issue known to man, as of the time of writing. The current standard is now defined in the DSM-5-TR, published in 2022. When I was first diagnosed with ADHD, high-functioning autism was still called Asperger's syndrome, and it was strictly limited to genius-level kids who didn't have ADHD. I covered this in a previous blog, Sex Jokes, Punk Rock, and My Dad, so I won't dive into it too much here. In terms of testing for autism, I've been tested 3 times. The first time, I was in the Navy in 2017. They confirmed the ADHD, but the doctor told me I had narcissistic personality disorder. This crushed me. In my mind, how can I be an authentic follower of Christ if all I thought of was myself? It made no sense to me. And it still affects me to this day, as I fear any undue attention on me is narcissistic, regardless of whether or not it's earned. In the summer of 2022, I was planning to move to Indiana for a position at a United Methodist Church as the Director of Family Ministries. I wasn't a pastor, but my newly acquired Master's of Divinity from Lipscomb University would be put to good use. The Nashville-based neuropsychologist tested me, and again affirmed my ADHD. The doctor said I was, quote, too empathetic and, quote, didn't follow social cues. Their diagnosis, borderline personality disorder. The doctor did affirm a key event in my life as possibly having happened, so I held on to that. Unfortunately, BPD didn't explain everything. It was like a shirt that chafed and was too small. Hey, if you interact with this post, someone might find out that we built an accessible, transparent assessment for adult autism that's available throughout the United States and in some other countries for $485. We're a small, bootstrapped company with no marketing budget, but we're here and we're happy to help. And RFK can fucking fight me. That was the typical post of Lauren Howard. In the summer of 2024, I came across the Threads account of Lauren Howard, the owner of LB Health, host of the Difficult Not Broken podcast, and mental health advocate. She posted on establishing something incredibly critical to mental health: an affordable diagnosis. She leads a team of highly qualified doctors and specialists in providing care and support that can begin with a diagnosis for $485. Compared to the over $15,000 cost of the neuropsychologist in 2022, that price is unheard of. 2 weeks ago, at the time of writing, I began the process. And last night, June 18th, 2025, I got my official diagnosis. 39 years of life, countless jobs, countless relationships, and an innumerable fury of questions later, I finally have what I need to accurately navigate this life. I am no longer a slave to misdiagnosis with unknowing questions serving as prison guards. I can now have the appropriate amount of help, guidance, and assistance to give me an equal footing with everyone else. The struggle isn't over. It's simply found a foundation on which to fight. Officially, nothing really changes. I can obtain ADA accommodations at work, which will be incredibly beneficial. Note from future Jeff, there's a story there. Comment if you want to hear the story. Okay, back to the audiocast. But until I become a successful enough writer to do it full time, it will be necessary. For now, you can keep expecting books from my little corner of the world, and that's enough for me. If you'd like to obtain your adult autism assessment from LB Health, as I did, you can click the button below on the blog to get started. I earn nothing from this endorsement. I firmly believe in their mission, and I want to support them to the best of my ability. Update. Please listen to next week's audiocast before you decide to get an assessment through them. Recent truths have come to light, and things don't look so good. With all my heart, Jeffrey. Yeah. Next week, I'm going to dive into what exactly happened with LB Health. And friend, it is not good. It's not. Yeah. It's something that came to light in 2025. And I don't know if LB Health is still in practice. They might be, they might not be. I honestly don't care. But it's one of those things to kind of, as a cautionary tale to look out for. Because there are people out here like this who do like to take advantage of people who are easily influenced, like people within the autistic community. And it's not nice. It's not fun. It's not a good thing. But, here we are. I do want to say that in preparation for next week's audiocast, it gets heavy. It gets real heavy. It gets real heavy. But it's something that definitely needs to be said and something we can look out for. So make sure you listen to next week. You follow, you hit subscribe. You rate the podcast. You rate the audiocast. You follow, you hit subscribe. You subscribe to the audiocast. Do what you can because you want to hear next week's audiocast. It'll be out next Wednesday at 5. Yeah, that's 5 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're going to go through that and pay attention for it because it is worth it to hear exactly what happened and what to look out for. I can tell you that having an autism diagnosis, it answered all of the questions for me. It even answered questions on, like, for me, why I don't do another certain type of job, why I don't do personal physical labor, or why I don't, skate very well, or why I was never good at sports, or why I sometimes freeze or get too focused into things, or I have a particular taste that I eat the same things all the time, or I'm just, I miss social cues, where sometimes I'm just nice to somebody, but that they could think, oh no, he's flirting with me. I wonder if oh no, he has a wife and he looks like he's flirting with me. I don't know if I should take it or not. But even still, it's that whole thing of I miss a lot of things. And if you happen to be neurodiverse as well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't see life the way everyone else does. And fortunately, because of this, that's one of the things that I'm able to bring into my writing. I'm able to bring this happy-go-lucky, this weird creativity, this different solutions to problems, things into the writing. And I bring that into Just Put the VHS in the Bag, Bro. And you're going to be able to see that and or hear it on June 25th. But it's going to be out where you can physically have a copy, where you can get a copy as an ebook, and then it's going to be out on Audible. And guess what? Guess who's doing the Audible? Me. It'll be just like this. It'll be just like an audiocast. With the exception is I will do some voices for some characters, maybe just like one or two, but this is the first book in this long series that you're going to be able to get into and dive into and sink your teeth into and really enjoy it and really laugh and have a good time with it. And that's why I do the audiocast, because I want you to have a good time with me and I want to have a good time with you as you get ready in the morning or you work out in the day or whatever you do. I'm here for you. With that all being said, next week's show, going to be crazy. It gets into it. You're going to want to hear it. You're going to want to stick around. I hope you have a great week, friend. Enjoy your time. I'll catch you next time.